to Webinar Wednesdays. This is our second edition. Last week we chatted with Vel from Canada's Music Incubator and Kevin Hutchison from Knox Hutchison Insurance, just kind of about protecting your assets and kind of getting your business stuff together as an artist. Today we're going to be chatting about social media, and as an artist, it's just part of the many tools and trades that you'll need to learn and have on your in your tool belt. So we'll be chatting today with Michelle Ben Simon from Cave Boy and Vanessa Cito, who's joining us from further away.
Hey.
So we'll start, I guess, now by asking our guests to introduce themselves. So Michelle, we'll start with you.
So I'm Michelle. I play in a band called Cave Boy. We're from Montreal. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And social media stuff, that's you who does it all?
Yeah, I do most of it for the band. And yeah, I think I started out really not liking social media, which I think we talked a bit about yesterday. I kind of hated it. And I think what I didn't like was that I felt like I needed to be on all the time, or like I needed to have this, image, and it needed to feel cool and all these things. But I really fell in love with it when I started to just do what felt totally genuine and natural for the band. And I'm in a band with two of my best friends. And so, it felt and feels way easier now and way more enjoyable. And there is a way to like it, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah.
And Vanessa, let's hear from you.
Hey, I'm Vanessa. I'm a digital strategist based out of BC right now, but I was up in Ontario with Jen recently. My background is in traditional marketing. So I used to work for a marketing agency, and I really hated talking about burgers and cars. So I switched over to the music industry, where I've applied traditional marketing techniques to music. And everyone knows music is a totally different world, but there are still ways to do some traditional things there that would help your accounts grow and everything else. So I just came off of working for Coalition Music as their head of digital strategy, and I started my own company to try to help independent artists across Canada and North America develop their strategy and kind of hit the ground running. So
awesome. Great, thanks. So what we're going to do is, there is a chat function on just right next to the video. And feel free to kind of put some questions up as we go along. We will be reserving the last 10-15 minutes for questions. So if you want to just, as they come to you, throw them in there and we'll kind of address them at the end. I guess we can start off talking about just why social media is necessary for independent artists. Like, did you feel, Michelle, that it was something, like you kind of said you hated it, but it was something you had to do? Why do you think that is?
Absolutely. I think that it's important, whatever, your brand is, whether that's being very mysterious and not posting a lot, or posting all the time and engaging a bunch with your fans, it really adds to your brand and your persona and the way that you want to engage with your fans. So it's another way, besides at your shows, to engage in a similar way to kind of keep that consistency and get people interested.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Vanessa, do you have a take on that?
Yeah, well, we live in an information age right now. And I always ask, Jen, when was the last time you heard about a show in your area? Where did you hear about it?
Oh, yeah, definitely Facebook.
There you go, right? It's that simple. We basically live online nowadays, so we kind of have to be able to cater to where people are finding their information. And unfortunately, the traditional methods, they are not dying. Email marketing is gigantic still, and it's really, really important. And the different forms of marketing are, but socials is just where everyone is nowadays. So it's really that simple, that if you want to be able to grow, and if you want to even reach the people that you already have past your shows, because you can't play a show every time you want to make an announcement. You just really need to be online.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think, so, if you're making those announcements online where everyone is, do either of you have kind of some strategies? I mean, you don't want to just be reaching the people who already know you. When you start off with with your social media, you're going to be adding people that you know and friends of yours and family. What are some ways you can start going beyond that? How do you get attention and get more followers that aren't just people who already know who you are?
Well, for us, I'd say boosted posts really work on Facebook, and you don't even have to put in that much money, and you just go really specific with your targeting. So there's a way where you can see your insights. Actually, Vanessa was the one who showed me this. How you can get those insights and that data information, which is so crucial, because the same way that word of mouth, friend of a friend works in real life, it actually works online as well. So when I'm doing targeting, I often do people who like your page and their friends, because it's usually people who have similar interests. So you're already targeting, that word of mouth, and then that person goes and sees, oh, my friend likes this band, and then I don't know. That's a way that I find really works is boosting those posts. And making the posts engaging as well. So keeping it short, keeping it simple. Nobody wants to read paragraphs. I don't know if you agree with that, Vanessa, but short, tight posts when you're boosting is just like that flash of information.
All right, Vanessa, what's your take?
Yeah, I'm just going to completely echo what Michelle said. There's so many ways that you can actually target your audience. You don't even really need to spend money to do it, even if you have the option to geo-target. So geo-targeting on Facebook it looks like a circle with a cross through it. And it basically gets you directly to the message channels that you need to. So instead of flooding a newsfeed with everything and anything, it actually just shows the people that need to access that information. So say you're playing a show overseas, you wouldn't want people in Canada to see it, because unless they're super fans, they won't be flying out. And if they are super fans, they will know anyways. So it doesn't really, And then in terms of the geo-target, not geo-targeting, but paid advertising, not only targeting it to friends of the people that like your page, but be sure to research your primary market and your secondary market. So like artists as well, and target those people within that and those ads as well. When you're playing shows too, don't forget to try to get ad access to those other artists' pages and boost your posts to those pages as well. Because technically you're promoting the show. You're not promoting just your set, you're promoting the entire show. So it will help those other people as well, but then you're just going to appear to their fan base. So try to all get ad access to each other's pages, boost posts for each other and everything like that, and use other people's audiences too to boost yourself up. So that's the whole point of opening on shows and things like that for bigger artists. So utilize these opportunities.
Cool. We hadn't really, I hadn't put this in the list of questions, but I'm wondering, Vanessa, if you can maybe give a bit of a rundown on how to figure out who your audience is. When you want to target people, target your specific markets, is there kind of just a few tips that artists can use to figure out what their audience is?
Yeah, so bands they've played with in the past, that's an easy one right away, because it's the promoter telling you that you kind of have the sound of that artists that you feel your music has been influenced by. People that also have inspired your brand. So if you have a Lana Del Rey style aesthetic to your brand, you might want to add that in as well. So it's things that complement your brand, complement your sound, past people that you've played with. It's quite simple. And then the secondary ones, if you look at those artists, you can also kind of narrow it down from people that they've been talking about and things like that as well. So
okay, cool. Thanks. So if different social media platforms, we've talked a lot about Facebook and targeting and events and that kind of thing. What about all the other platforms? And is there kind of a rule of thumb for how many you should be on, or kind of do you do all of them?
This is a question, again, that I asked Vanessa because I personally don't like having a lot of apps on my phone. I'm just that kind of person. And I was using Snapchat a lot, but I found that the Instagram stories were getting so many more views. And for us, that is Instagram for us was where our target market was living. I'm sure Snapchat is really important. I'm actually very curious, Vanessa, what you think about Snapchat. But for me, the main Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, those are the ones that I put most of my focus on.
Yeah. And do you use them differently?
Definitely. Instagram, I don't always post the same photos that I post on Instagram on Facebook, because some people who are on Facebook aren't on Instagram, and some people on Instagram aren't on Facebook. And I think Facebook is really great for sharing event links, boosting posts, which can link, like if you boost photos, it can run in Instagram as well. Articles, stuff like that. That's where Facebook really works for us. And Twitter is kind of that stream of consciousness. It's gone so quickly. Funny antics. Sometimes I just say something completely random. And then Instagram, I find, is the one where I can really have fun with. So just those Instagram stories are key right now. Like that is where we really brand ourselves the most, I think.
All right, cool. Vanessa, what do you think?
Yeah, so there's really like the 4 main socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Basically what each one does is something that no other social platform does. So let's talk about Snapchat. Snapchat was basically like, people want quick stories that expire. So when Snapchat first came to be, it was like this huge thing and everyone was really loving it. And then Instagram basically was like, well, we have the entire fan base already, so let's just add this one feature everyone likes and wipe you out. And that's exactly what happened. So if you look at Snapchat's numbers in terms of people that use it on a daily basis, as well as their actual stock, they value, it actually just keeps dwindling. And I really don't think it's going to be around for much longer. There's so many people that complain about Facebook and like how they want to get off of it, which I attribute to the adult version of trying to run away from home, because everyone knows you're doing it for attention and we'll be back in a week. It's the world we live in now. Unfortunately, like this is it, you know, like this is what we've created. So this is what we're living in. It's the way you connect with everybody. For Facebook, there was that site that was up for like a hot week called Ello. People were complaining that Facebook was too much, and then everything kept changing. And then Ello lasted for like only 2 days. I never signed up for it because I thought it was hilarious. And I was like making fun of people that were signing up for it. But it's like, there really are the only, like the major 4. And if you think about it, they're all doing something that no other social site that's come up is doing, other than really Spotify, but that's a DSP. It's a digital service provider. There are social aspects to it and you can use it in a social way, but it's more activating on other socials. You don't really use it internally for Spotify. So YouTube is video. Twitter is short form engagement. Instagram is like visuals and photos, and Facebook is long form. So it's just really like the 4 things that no one else is doing. I do think it's really important for artists to be on all 4 because they all provide different things. But just like Michelle was saying, you wouldn't upload the same content to all of them, because why would somebody follow you in multiple places, right? So you really have to be more strategic with the content that's on there. But you'll actually find too, unfortunately, with a lot of artists, like with Michelle's completely right, their fans live on Instagram, but some people are comfortable with Instagram just because it's their thing, but their fans might not be on there. So it sucks, but you can't base it off of your comfort level as an artist. You have to look into your analytics, see where your fans live, and cater it to those platforms, or else you're not going to really hit anybody.
Right. So yeah, that kind of goes into my next question a little bit too. That data that you can get from your followers, how do you access that data? Where exactly do you need to go? And what do you do with it once you have it?
Yeah, well, I'm on Facebook in particular. You could pull insights, and the same as on Instagram, and it's all really right there for you. It's a little complicated to read. You have to kind of take some time and look at the graphs and see kind of what are your peak times, because that is really important. It used to be a lot more important on Instagram, but now with its new algorithm, it's like not as important. But what I've actually read about Instagram is that, so let's say you make a post, it doesn't really matter what time, but you know it's a post where a lot of people happen to just be on Instagram. So if people start engaging with that photo or little video content right away, and there's multiple people right away, then that kind of sends the algorithm into motion and starts flowing on people's feeds. So if you get barely any traction on a photo that you post within the first hour, Instagram is actually not going to show it on people's feeds. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I read.
I monitor it, and if it's just like not the right time, because I do pick the best times, but sometimes that happens. And if I see there's not even engagement within 10 to 15 minutes, I'll delete it.
Yeah, I do the same
time with content, because like you have to be really, really strategic, because it really shows like what you like it's really picky as to what it shows, and the algorithms are weighed. So video will always be first, then photo, And links are going to be the very, very last. So if you're pushing a YouTube link to Facebook, you're doing it wrong. You should really upload like a clip and then bury the link within the text, because it tricks Facebook saying this is a video upload instead of I'm trying to push people to the link within the text. So there's a strategic way about doing it as well, and how things are weighted within the algorithm.
Yeah, and I think uploading natively to Facebook is just a great way because you can actually put ad money in. And I know you can do that on YouTube as well, but I find it really works on Facebook.
Yeah,
upload it natively, but I try not to upload it natively the same day that I upload it to YouTube, because I try not to drown out either platform. I try to kind of like really focus on one, then really focus on the other. So like a week later, I'll upload the music video, let's say natively to Facebook. Also on Facebook, unfortunately, some of the upload quality is diminished at times, whereas YouTube maintains that sort of like 1080.
Yeah,
whatever.
Facebook is actually working later this year to have a paid platform for creators. So it'll be like $10 a month or something. So we can do 4K uploads. So the reason why video uploads have been dwindling on Facebook in terms of quality, because it used to be great, is because they're making room for the paid platform. So people need it. You know what I mean? So it's coming eventually, which is okay. But I mean, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so for talking about like YouTube ads and stuff, we can chat a bit more about that. So how do you monetize your YouTube videos in general?
Currently, we're not monetizing, so I'd be interested actually what Vanessa has to say about that, because YouTube is the one I think I struggle with the most. I find, it's just not as user-friendly for me. But in terms of a band, YouTube is really the place where, like, if you get a sync placement, like a license in a TV show, these are cult fans, and they're making playlists, and they're for the TV show, and that's really where I find YouTube gets the most engagement for us. So when we have a song somewhere, that's when it starts to like peak again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, be sure to feature that song though on your profile as well, so people can tie it back into you, add it into. So YouTube is Google, so you have to think of everything within the descriptions as a search engine. So your descriptions have to be completely search engine optimized, so SEO'd out, where inside your descriptions, you're going to put the lyrics, you're going to go in, and every single time you get a placement, add in as featured in blah, blah, blah. Or if it's like a music video, even for something else on the album, you can go and be like, songs from this album were featured on Orange is the New Black, or you know what I mean? Like whatever. So there are ways that you can trick the algorithms. YouTube is a bit tricky because it is in need of consistent uploads to have your account basically like be featured on any of the searches and everything like that, unless you are tricking the SEO. So YouTube really is consistent uploads, video logs, everything like that, like little tiny pieces. Don't think that like that 50-second video from the Junos isn't going to count, because it does on that platform. Right. So yeah, if you go hang out at the YouTube Creator Studio, that's like the number one thing they say is like consistent and rapid uploads to the platform, but of good quality, which is hard unless like that's your number one game, right?
Yeah, totally.
Something to think about though, because Facebook is also predicting that their platform will be mostly video by 2020 in terms of content, and photos are just dwindling to the side. So definitely something to think about. YouTube wise though, for in terms of ad spend, it will always be the most expensive. So unless you really know how to spend within Google Analytics, I wouldn't suggest just playing around with it, because you can spend thousands and still not get results. So,
but you can use ads to monetize your own videos, right? No, like to actually have YouTube like monetization turned on, like you actually need to be like working with somebody like a label or something like that to actually like be able to have that monetization. Okay, so it's not something you can just click.
You can't automatically turn it on, just like geo-targeting with Facebook. Like I was just actually asked that this morning, and I'm like, if you don't have fans in different areas, they can't possibly turn it on. You're just talking to the same people. So it's not something that's turned on. You actually have to be working with like a label or something like that, where they're handling the monetization of that and the royalties, the rights of your song, everything. So
yeah, absolutely. Because I think we were going to turn on monetization, and then we found, I was reading a bunch about it, and it can be kind of a tricky thing. Like it could be almost bad for your account, because then they start looking into things even more, and there's ways where videos can get taken down. I don't know, it becomes way more extreme. And if you don't have an extra party, like it's just a lot of work. So like Vanessa said, I would suggest having, a label or someone there to monitor all of that, because it can be really tricky.
Yeah, for instance, like we get takedowns a lot, where like I'll have to actually contact like Warner or something and be like, hey, this video is flagged, and they can easily mark it in their back end that it's not content that where you don't have the right to upload. But otherwise, if you don't have that party that has the business account with YouTube, or like a label or a third party, you're just screwed. And it's just like a lot of bureaucratic tape. Your videos get taken down. Any covers you've done in the past will be taken down, everything like that. The second you monetize your account changes, because it's saying that you are like the owner of all this content in it, basically. So you lose a bunch of your content too if you were that type of artist in the past. So something to think about. Fun.
And also, I just want to, everyone will notice that Michelle and I are looking this way because we have a giant Vanessa head to our left. And I'm not sure if you guys see it because I thought you were supposed to, and we might be having some technical difficulties. So I hope that the audio works. And yeah, just imagine what Vanessa would look like with a lovely floral curtain behind her. It's beautiful. Okay, so so some of the, like, in terms of like, for example, the ads and stuff, that was something that I didn't really know, because you hear a lot about it and it's not always something that everyone kind of talks about or knows about. Are there some other functionalities that you kind of figure? I mean, Vanessa, I feel like you probably know it all. You, Michelle, was there ever something that that kind of you discovered and were like, oh, I didn't even know that Facebook or Twitter or Instagram could do this?
Yeah, actually recently I kept seeing this thing that said on Facebook in our kind of notifications, it said, this person liked your post, invite them to your page so that they can see future posts. And I was like, what? So I was like, kind of ignored it for a while. And then I just recently kind of looked more into it. And so sometimes people are engaging with a post that you are posting on Facebook, but they don't actually like your page. So when you click on to see, like, you have the post, underneath it says who's liked the post, and you click on that, it opens up the list of all the people who've liked your post. And next to it, there's liked if they've liked your page, but then you can send invites for them to like your page.
So it's all right there.
Yes, and sometimes you think that everyone who's liking your post already likes your page, and that's how they saw it. They saw it flow in their newsfeed. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes these people don't actually even like your page. Cool. So I've been going into all my posts and inviting the people who don't, because these are fans that are already engaging with you. You already have them right there. So if you invite them right away within, an hour of them liking your post, they're gonna remember who you are, and 9 times out of 10 they're gonna like your post. Like, I've had 20 new followers in the last 2 days just from going in and inviting. It takes some work. Yeah. And I had no clue this was even a thing until recently. But yeah, I find it's just harder and harder to get Facebook follows, like Facebook likes.
Yeah.
I think, like Vanessa said, more and more people are kind of trying to get away from Facebook or using it for different things like the news and political things, which is so great. But I find it's getting harder and harder for artists on Facebook. So if you can just kind of nab in those people who are already engaging with you, it's like a huge way to get followers.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is it's a bit of work to go through it, but sounds like they make it pretty easy once you're there.
Super easy. You see, if they've liked, you just literally scroll until you see invite, and you just invite them. And
that's amazing.
There's a way you can do that too with advertising. Have you ever created a custom audience instead of going to start an ad, but first creating an audience? Have you done that yet?
No.
We'll talk about that because it's really cool. But you can you basically can go in and create your audience before you even set up your ad. And in that, you can search people that have engaged with any of your posts within the past year. So I often create what I call lookalike audiences, or it's the term for it rather. But I create multiple of those audiences. So I'll be people that have engaged with my post that like my page already, people that don't like my page but are engaging with my posts. You can also always boost to them that way. If you don't catch it right away, but you still want them to like your page, you can bid for likes with one of those ads. But it's also really important to create those audiences to push your content in general, right? Because it's like people that have liked your stuff in the past might not be there anymore, right? Like ones you didn't catch from earlier in the year or when you were busy during Juno's time and things like that. So there are ways to still get to those people, even if it's not right away. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Is there a wrong way to boost posts or create ads or like, especially if you're investing? What are some pitfalls there that you want to avoid?
Pressing the boost button. You never, ever, ever quick boost. It's like the slot machine of Facebook. It's like putting in your $5. You're like, what's going to happen? It's roulette, you know? Like, you have to really narrow down your audiences. And with that boost button, it is like the quick and easy way for people that don't understand it. Go to your back end, create an ad, and don't be lazy. Like, you really have to narrow it down. And the mistake most people make is just putting an ad up and never monitoring it. So anytime I start an ad, like if I'm starting an ad campaign, I'll do something called an A/B test where I actually just test out the audiences first so I don't waste my entire budget until I know which audience is actually working. So there are ways to split test, and that's now an option on Facebook where you can just click the button and it'll show you how to, as before marketers just had to do it manually. So it's really, really important. So
that's
all your money into something for nothing, and don't, like, why would you invest in something and not check into it? Think about it as like buying a restaurant or something. You're not just going to give your money, walk away, and never eat there. Like, you're going to go in, you're going to check, you're going to try the fries. Are the fries cold? Maybe we need to change the fries. I don't know. So you know what I mean? Like, you have to think of it that way. So
yeah, no, that's a great tip.
Totally.
So I think we can maybe go into some other maybe some anecdotal stuff. So what are some things that, as much as I like the do's, I really love the don'ts, because I find that that's where, when you mess up and you kind of you learn for yourself or learn the hard way, I guess that's, some really good tips come out of that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you kind of learned on the way?
I think a lot of the time people want to see you. I think there was a point where I was, we were kind of testing out like a more mysterious vibe and maybe posting like a random thing on the street. And that's just not, it's just not engaging. It, like, for us, it could be engaging for somebody else. That could totally be their brand. But I think
you're aesthetic from the first place. If you're that like mysterious style, like, again, the Lana Del Rey artist, but those people work their asses off to be able to not say anything online. Do you know what I mean? So
exactly, to be able to have 3 posts, you have to decide what, and that just takes learning what, like, and really looking at those statistics. So what are the photos that or videos or any kind of content are people engaging with the most? For us, it's whatever has our faces in it. That's what seems to be the most engaging, is anything that we are actually in. So we tried a bunch of different things and really didn't work. And it was very interesting. I've since deleted a lot of it. But I think that's the key thing, right? Like, knowing that you can just go in and delete those old Instagram posts or Facebook.
Archive them, because if you delete it, it messes your algorithm and everything.
Yeah, you just archive it. That's what I do.
So the people that have engaged with it, you lose them once you delete it, like in terms of analytics. So you can't advertise to them. And so, yeah, just archive for sure.
Yeah. That archive feature is so key.
Yeah.
And every time I see people like, oh, Taylor Swift deleted her whole Instagram, like, she archived all of it. She's keeping all those stats. So yeah, like,
never set a post to expire on Facebook. That's another really good tip. Like, instead of like when you guys post, don't just post it and like get it out there. Like, there's a little button that you can actually, when you're scheduling it, you can also set it to expire so people don't see that content past the time that they need to. Like, say you're saying, I'm playing tonight at 8 p.m. You can always set it to expire just after that, so people, the algorithm, it gets taken out of it. So that's another way too on Facebook.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. We do have a question that just came up, and I think this would now be the time we can at least just do it right now, real quick. We can get back to some anecdotal stuff. But so a question from Stacy: how long do you have the A/B test up? And what do you do once you see one audience is working better than the other? Do you shift the budget over?
Yeah, so basically, when you A/B test on Facebook, that actually gives you an option to end your results early if there's a winning set found. So you can ask Facebook to find the winning set for you. it's quite easy. You'll just see which one's working better. You're not allowed to A/B test under 5 days. You have to plan to have like a campaign that's 5 days or longer. So you can't do like a last minute boost, and you shouldn't. You should be doing this at the very, very, very start of your campaign. So say you release a festival this fall today is the day you A/B test, because you need to narrow that down. So when it comes to crunch marketing time, you know the exact audience you need to hit, and you have time to play around with it. So you can really have like any budget for an A/B test, because again, it's only supposed to be testing your audience. So I just like throw $20 to it just to see. But again, you can't do it for less than 5 days, because it needs time to stretch and Facebook won't let you. That's the thing. Facebook is really smart. It physically will not let you send the ad through. It'll tell you need to extend the time. So.
Okay. Also from Stacy, what tips do you have for gaining new followers on Instagram specifically?
I love Instagram so much. I think brands are a really great way to engage with new fans, and that's not necessarily your brand. It's brands that you feel really associate with you, and tagging those brands, trying to get them on board, and like small businesses as well, small brands, local stuff that really connects to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to say really helps. Following a lot of artists, commenting on stuff, just being engaging as you want to be, really.
Even as a follower yourself, kind of thing.
Totally, yeah. I'm always engaging with, bands and people that I know have similar markets. I'm always commenting on Tegan and Sarah's stuff. I also love what they post. I think it's great. And just finding things that really connect to what you're doing and engaging with those people too. Unless your brand is to not engage as much and to kind of keep that pulled back, but then a lot of it has to happen off the socials. So playing a lot of shows and
like that doesn't work anymore. I've seen artists try to do that in the past few years, like have that elusive brand where they don't post much on socials, or they're just like, I'm playing a show. Let me tell you how their albums just aren't selling. So, I mean, it is the world we live in now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. And not to be afraid to like not post sometimes. Like, I think sometimes, it's definitely exhausting. There's no question about it. Like feeling like you have to post something every day, being on all the time. But I always say, if it takes you longer than 5 minutes to think about what you want to post, for me, I'm always like, that just means I don't have anything to post right now. And like, not just throwing random content that doesn't mean anything to me. I really try to not do that, even if it means taking one day where there's no, photo being posted. And I think what's interesting is with the algorithm, sometimes like you post a photo yesterday and they're still people are just seeing it for the first time today and tomorrow. So
it has a bit of a longer life.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. With that though as well, like, I mean, you really should be curating content well in advance. Like I have memes I know I'm going to post next month already saved, because I know that for those down days, I need to keep some stuff like in my back pocket. So the only tip I really have for that is to be sure to like, yeah, you don't have to post every single day. That's 100% a thing. But for those days where you might be like, again, like in the studio where you're curating content and you don't want to share yet, or you're depressed, like artists, like we have like the most, like I think like mental health wise in the music industry is just like not addressed, but like we all feel it sometimes, I think. So like for those days where you're like just not feeling creative, or like you can have those things backed up and saved, so you don't have to worry about it. Right?
And wherever you are, like grab that content. Like Vanessa said, you're in the studio, take that content. You might not be releasing that song for a year. And also another thing too, like when you're traveling through cities, like, we were just in Calgary, and we had been to Calgary in February, March, and we had never been there before. So while we were there, kind of took some photos, some video content that I never posted. I was like, I don't know when I'm going to go back to Calgary. Randomly ended up in Calgary 2 days ago, and had that content ready for me in a folder that said Calgary on our Google Drive. Like I think that's something that's really important, is making it really accessible for yourself. Don't make your job 10 times harder than it has to be. Make those folders, have that stuff ready in every single city, especially if you're a touring artist. Because people like, going back to Calgary and being like, this is a photo of the last time we were there. This is something from the last time we were there. This is how we feel about your city. People get really excited about that. And
oh yeah, they get so excited because they're like, oh my God, you remembered. You know what I mean? You actually like cared enough to create something like out of what we have here.
Yeah.
And don't forget to use the scheduling tools as well, because you really don't have to be posting every single day, right? So you can schedule well in advance. Even you can schedule retweets in advance, like with Buffer, right? So try to use the scheduling tools. So those days where you're like, I'm swamped, or shit just comes up, because like we're all humans at the end of the day, like you still have that stuff ready to go.
Yeah, and I think that's a neat point, and it kind of ties into your kind of hesitance at first to, or like resistance almost to social media at first. How did you feel? Like, what do you think kind of broke that barrier a little bit when you were like, you know, it just maybe it wasn't a habit to post all the time, or you found it difficult to think of content? What started to make it flow?
I think being more and more sure of the message that, you know, we want to say as a band, and more sure of what our brand is, because it stopped being about what I thought people wanted to see and more about what I wanted to post. So
cool.
And that like really shifted things and really shifted the engagement. And I think captions are your best friend. An engaging caption doesn't have to be like the most incredible thing, but you know, say what you want to say, or be witty, or be funny, be serious, be whatever you want to be, whatever is so true to you, and keep that consistency on all your posts. Like, there's one emoji that you use all the time. We use the lightning bolt all the time. Just use it all the time. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it feels silly. Like, get something that is going to make that consistency feel consistent.
That's genuine to your brand, right? Like, for instance, like, Scott Hellman, he doesn't like emojis, but he likes the equal sign and then the bracket for smiley faces. And so when I see like people like necessarily like helping him and things like that, like if somebody puts a tweet out with the wrong thing, or like if somebody were to give me copy, like a promoter with a happy face in it, I'm like, Scott doesn't happy face this way. Little things like that, fans actually pay attention to, and it makes your brand not seem as genuine when you don't have like that same style of engagement consistently, and people can tell, and they want to hear directly from the artist these days as well. So you really do have to be careful with that. But like, the lightning bolt is now a part of your brand, right? Like, you might be like, fuck, I used that emoji, maybe not that one, like that. It's just rose, but like, you know, but like that is you guys now, and people now attribute it to your posts and stuff like that, to the point where I'm sure one day, even if you wanted to make an announcement, you could do like a lightning bolt as a photo and then like have something underneath it, and like people would still kind of, you know, tie it together, right? So
yeah, and fans will be the first to tell you when you're not being genuine, and not directly, but they won't engage, you know, like it's all in the numbers. You see what is getting the most engagement, and you know, and then you work off that. And I think that actually, you know, as a young band, when you start from like zero, which is where we started, you know, the parents' garage, you don't start from this level that some people already are starting at, where they already have their entire team, they already have all the content, all the contacts. So when you're starting from zero, it takes a lot of time, I think, to figure it out. And you can use social media to figure out what your brand is. Like, that's kind of what happened with us. We realized, oh, people are really engaged when we're being ridiculous. Maybe that's more of our brand than we thought, because they can show you what is genuine because of what they're engaging with.
Yeah, exactly. Keep an eye on those analytics. Again, stuff that you think would work sometimes just doesn't, and those like weird random posts. And then if you know your face works, right, like start to bury important content in that as well. Like, maybe don't put up a show poster on your Instagram. Like, first put up a photo of you three and talk about it underneath it, and then put up the show poster later if you really know that that's what's going to work with your fans. Like, cater to the content that they love.
Totally.
And I really love that for those who, you know, maybe the word brand isn't, you know, they feel like that word is a bit weird for them. I really like that what you're saying essentially is that it's you as a person, and that it's really being most genuine that gets, you know, the results.
Yeah, like, I can't tell you your brand. Michelle can't tell you your brand. She couldn't even tell herself your brand. Like, you figure it out over time. That's the whole thing. You A/B test on socials. You put up one post, you put up another post, which one works best. You find out who your audience is, how they react. Like, you create your brand over time. It's never an overnight thing. It's a lot of testing out and a lot of trial and error. But then when you find something that works, it's like magical. It's like, you know, when you find the one you love, you know, when you find your brand, you kind of know, you know what I mean? Oh, this is how I take it in this direction. It's like this intuitive thing that pops in, like, this is working, and you get so excited. And start to create more, and it actually fuels your creativity when you see stuff start to work. So
it makes everything easier, right? It makes your photos easier. It makes your music easier. Like, not easier, but it's like what feels right. Because like in the end, I think as an artist, whatever you're doing, whatever that art is, that's still number one. Like that content is still number one, is the art that you're making. And I think it's really important to not forget that ever.
Yeah,
like we get
that's a
so
great
caught
point.
up in social media and how we look, and like, yes, that is so important. It feels at times like it is equal with the art that you're making. But yeah, don't forget about the music or whatever you're doing, because I've seen a lot of, sometimes I'll start following an account and I'm like, I've never even listened to their music, and it's crazy to me. And then I'll go and I'll listen, and sometimes I don't even like it, and then I'm done. And then I'm not following anymore, because I'm just like, okay, this wasn't about music. This was just about people that I thought were interesting. And I think it's important to like always have that art be your number one still, because people are going to dive in deep over time. They're going to get bored of, seeing your face, and they're going to want to connect with what you're actually doing.
Yeah. Okay.
Any stunt type of artist, think about it out there. Like even Psy, you know what I mean? Like that random dude, PSY, like he had more of a stunt type of song with Gangnam Style. It was hilarious and everything like that. But where is he now? Like music is always number one. And you have to make good music and not be a shitty person. And that's the only way you'll get anywhere in this industry, period. Right? Because it does come down to those two things at the end of the day. Like you can have like no strategy whatsoever online. Like I know people that are signed to labels right now that don't even have a Facebook page because their music's that good. And then the label will work with them on developing their brand. So music truly is number one, always at the end of the day. So
yeah, that's great. We have another question from Mahaya asking any tips for gaining followers on Twitter. So Mahaya finds it personally the hardest, and it looks like it only works for celebrities.
yeah, it's actually the easiest on Twitter. It's the complete opposite. So basically with Twitter, it's mostly about like creating like Twitter, the average tweet lasts for a minute. So you have to create consistent content on Twitter. So use scheduling tools to consistently get your message out. But it's more so like looking into who people are following. Like for instance, if I wanted to gain my followers after this, I'm going to look at the music and film in motion, see who's following them, see who followed them from today. And I'm going to go right away and I'm going to try to follow and engage with them. So every event you're playing, other artists that you like obviously you're not going to go for somebody like Britney Spears and try to follow their people, because it's just not attainable, you know what I mean, at that level. But look at other people in your community who they're following. Are you following all the MIAs across Canada, all the labels, like independent and otherwise, all the music managers? Like start there, create lists for yourself. Don't forget to engage with them. And remember, Twitter is all about a conversation. Like think of it as a party. Wouldn't go to a party, stand in the corner and stare at a wall unless there was like a cat or dog there. That's what I do. I'd be like, hey, this corner. But you have to think of it like that. Like you have to join in the conversation, and trust me, once you do, like your handle will start to appear more places and people will just naturally start to follow you. When you engage with trends, you really should be engaging with trends on a daily basis, but research the trend before you engage with it, because you don't want to talk to something that you can't possibly talk to, or say something wrong within that thread, wrong in the political sense, right? So
yeah, know where you stand on things and try to keep that consistent, because people will spot it right away. If you're posting really pro animal rights one time, then you do something against, like it's just not going to work. Like you have to know what you believe in. And also like everybody's different. You're looking at someone else's Twitter and you're like, oh, they're so funny. Oh, they have so many followers. And you can start to play this game where you go a little crazy looking at other people's socials and other people's, Twitter. And you think like, why don't I have that? And what's missing and stuff. But it just takes time. It literally just takes time to build. And I think sometimes we're afraid to like have more people that we're following in that number rather than people who are following us. But that's like an old way to look at it, I think. Like now it doesn't matter how many people you're following. Follow them all. Unfollow them in a year. It doesn't matter. Like there's so many artists out there. It's so saturated all the time that you just have to go for it. I'd say just don't hold back because you want that, like how many you're following number to be low. It's not a thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a good point.
Just follow them either. Engage with them. Like actually go and be like, hey, I really like this song that you made. Like make it genuine. Like if you really have nothing to say, just don't. But like keep an eye on what they're doing. Support other people. And when you're playing your shows, it doesn't always have to be about you. Like you don't have to say, I'm taking the stage this time. Share something from like the opener or from the headliner and be like really excited to share the stage with this person and tag them in. They're going to share it because it's about them and it's not necessarily about you, but it's your voice echoing. And music really is all about community and supporting each other. So the more you do that on socials as well, the more others will do it for you. So it's definitely something to think about. Like Twitter isn't like Facebook, isn't like Instagram or YouTube, where you can literally tweet every 2 seconds and it won't make a difference in terms of the algorithm. So get on there and engage.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that mostly the takeaways here are like, be authentic, have great music.
Yeah.
Don't be
petty. Da, da, da.
Yeah. Just be nice. Like just be nice in everything in the industry. Everything. Just be
Well, the music industry is really small. We all know each other outside of this panel first and foremost, right? Like word gets around, people know, like they know if like your music's genuine, if you're genuine people, and then you just grow. Like Cave Boy's grown so much in the past 2 years, not only because your music, but because you guys are good people too, right? So yeah, you just have to be a good person in this industry. Really?
for sure.
Yeah. Be nice to everybody.
Yeah,
That's
too
my
many
rule of
people.
thumb.
Yeah.
Also, it's like so easy to be nice.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
nice.
Okay, I have another question from Stacy, asking, do you use the native scheduling tools or do you use a separate social management tool?
It's a very good question. I have more time, but some people have other jobs where they can't just do that full time. So I know the apps exist. Vanessa, you probably know what they are. I'm actually curious because I kind of want to switch over to like having one thing that fires it all out. I think like no matter what you do, you have to upload natively. So even though Instagram says share to Facebook, it's so much better if you go to Facebook and you upload natively. Like the statistics
their
just show.
algorithm.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So there's really nothing right now that's not going to cost like $50,000 plus a year, which is not realistic for an artist, especially on the independent level. It's not even realistic for most major management companies. Let's be real. So music funding. Basically what I use personally, I directly schedule on Facebook because it's the only way that I can properly take anybody in. On Twitter, I use Hootsuite because it actually does work pretty well, but only if I am able to loop the people into the actual paragraph. If I want to take people in a photo, I post it live because sometimes I want it to look cleaner where I don't have a million handles within the text and I actually tag them into the photo. So I post it live. So I have a million calendar reminders, and on Instagram as well, the exact same thing because you can't take people in those photos. So it depends on the type of post I'm making on Twitter and Instagram, but I honestly like basically try to do, it sucks, but if you want to do it properly, because there's really nothing that sets it up properly to post out there. Like if you were able to use Hootsuite to actually tag the photos as well properly, where you can tag in the photo instead of the handles and the text, it would be better, but there's nothing like that out there. Not even like the bigger social platforms like Sprout and things like that, the ones that are $50K a year. Those ones don't even tag the photo directly. So you may as well use the free ones and then do things manually when you need to. So.
And like I have like on Instagram, I have a bunch of photos that I know I'm eventually going to post. Sometimes I don't, but you just can go and edit the caption, right? So you can use a photo from a while ago and be like, oh, I want to use this photo that I've already edited. And like when you go and you see, you can manage all your unpublished posts that are saved. You can see how it's all looking. You can see aesthetically if it all fits together, and you can like pick things here and there and use them for different things. So I might have a photo right now that's saved with a caption that was like actually passed and never ended up using it, but I can use that photo in the future. And it's right there, all the photos that I want to use that I feel like I've collected over being in different cities or touring or playing shows or being anywhere. It's really great because I could just go back there and decide what would fit on the page. Because you can always look at like the back end, right? Like I really think that's important when you're planning your posts, is being able to see how everything's looking aesthetically, see how your page is looking, and just keep kind of like adding them in. And you're always going to get the in the moment posts, like the, oh my God, this just happened, I'm going to post this right now. And those are the most fun because it's right there. But sometimes you can't, you know? Or like you make a music video. We made a music video 4 months ago. It's not coming out to the fall. And I'm not going to post about it yet, but I have all this content ready to go because I don't want to think about it in the fall. I want to be excited about the video.
Yeah, and then you also have that content which you wouldn't have access to if you thought about it in September. Like, oh, I should post something with the music video.
You need to create a plan in advance, right? And then basically, like, you can now technically create a rollout schedule. You're like, this day I plan, this is going to be the post. This day, this is going to be the post. Everybody's on the same page. It's easier for Beth, like PR, to get premier partners and everything like that, like even with different pieces of content, because everybody knows exactly what's going on. Like, planning in advance not only helps the band, but it helps the entire team in supporting them too. So really, really helps to curate content like well in advance.
And whatever, you know, if you're using, like, I love Google Drive, like I said, make those folders, plan that stuff in like ahead. You could pull it from your phone and you could pull it from your computer. So it's like, it's all right there. Then you share the folder with, you know, like we do like a bunch of live sessions here and there. And like, we'll put folders like, okay, we did an audio tree session. Every BTS like photo and video is in that folder, so that when that comes out, I just go to the folder and I just pull from there. I don't have to keep everything on my phone. Like, I like to keep my stuff very clean, very organized. I don't like to have thousands of photos on my phone just sitting there. Or apps, like I said earlier, or apps. Like, I cannot. It's my Virgo moon, and so I like to keep it very, very organized. And I think it's a really great way to help pre-plan what you want to do, and keep like documents, right? Like, keep documents of, like, you know, you think of a funny thing, you don't want to tweet it right now, just like write it down. You know, it's very easy, but it is kind of like a 24/7 job, and you got to turn that mindset on. You got to have the headspace on all the time, where you're like, you see something, you're like, snap, like you're just like always thinking about what could be useful at some point.
It's like any skill set though, like you train your mind over time to think that way in a sense, right? So like, it's not going to happen overnight for anybody, especially if they're like not naturally like internet inclined. But like, again, I save stuff for like months in advance. I know, like, I'm hosting this Thanksgiving already, to be honest. So I found like a great meme, like Prime, and I'm hoping it doesn't go viral before then. So you can curate well in advance, and it actually like it's so much less of a headache if you know what you're doing. So
yeah, you gotta know.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll give people a few more minutes to maybe think of some last minute questions, because we do have to wrap this up soon. In the meantime, Vanessa, what's an anecdote you can share where either you or someone you worked with learned a lesson the hard way?
One of the people that I used to work with right now keeps posting links into Instagram, like into the comments and into the descriptions. And I tried to message them really nicely and be like, hey guys, just so you know, this isn't how it works. You know, like, you can't actually click that. And they're like, well, people will just write it out. I'm like, no need to be rude. People won't do that. I know it doesn't work. I kind of do this for a living. I went on their socials the next day, and then a bunch of other people were saying it, like there's their followers. And I was like, ha, because like sometimes people just don't want to listen to me because they're like, oh, you social know-it-all. Like, when I'm like just trying to help. But listening to like the people that have like the skill set in this area is really, really important. And then not only listening to us, but listening to your followers. So you have to be on it, especially when it comes to release days. If there's like any troubleshooting, or like when you're releasing a tour with tickets, the smartest things I've done in my career are to be online, like religiously that entire day we release a tour, because you troubleshoot so many things you didn't even know existed by that. And you sell more tickets that way. I've had people actually say, thank God you were online because no bands do this. No bands stay online the day their tickets go on sale and help fans with this kind of stuff. So just being there for your fans in that sense, and really listening to comments, not only from the industry, but from your fans' perspective. Just like Michelle's saying, their fans will tell you if they don't like something and if something's wrong. So hopefully that helps. Try to like listen into your audience as well.
That's a great point. So we do have one last question from David. He says he has some followers on Facebook, but wants to know how he can increase interaction with his Facebook page. So if I understand that correctly, I think he's maybe it's trying to work against that algorithm a little bit. That's making it a bit harder to
Well, a lot of the times people post on their Facebook page as an artist and they just go straight to their personal page and post something else in the exact same sense. A lot of people forget that the algorithm works like in terms of something going viral is sharing or commenting on one post specifically. So I think like maybe if you are sharing stuff on your personal page and on your band page, instead of doing that, just post it on your band page and then share it. Like share it completely like from that specific link. So say you are in a band with like 5 other people, take that link specifically, share it with your entire band and get them to share from that root source. And that's how things will keep going. And like your message will be engaged with on your page instead of your personal. That's a quick way to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And any other ways maybe to, people are always saying that their pages just aren't even being shown to a lot of their followers, even if, so I guess, how do you get people to actually subscribe to your posts, or how do you get more into people's feeds?
Well, I mean, like advertising is one thing, but creating consistent content that they're actually going to be engaging with. So again, not dropping in external links, uploading things directly to the platform. And it has to be consistent. It really does, because the second you stop using your Facebook page, you already get bumped down in the algorithm. Say somebody likes 100 pages and you're up here posting every day. The second you stop, you're just going to keep getting bumped down and down and down. And so you have to be consistently creating as a creator, really. So yeah.
And creating like different kinds of content too. Like sometimes like on Facebook, I won't do like photo. I'll do like photo, article that really makes sense, like event link, all sorts of stuff. So like making it different will kind of give people like a broader spectrum of people. Because some people really don't, some people like photos. Some people would rather, read something interesting, an interview. So collecting all that and, posting them all in a way that's not just like photo, which I can actually be very guilty of doing. But I find it's a great way to keep those people interested because it's all different kinds of content.
All right.
And same with Instagram too.
Yeah, no one wants to see the same thing consistently, right? So if they like just go there and just see photos, they're like, why am I following you here? I could just go to Instagram. It's just photos there type of thing. Like they want the different types of information. That's why they go to Facebook.
Right.
And I find on Instagram, on Facebook, I find it's definitely like I'd say like there's more of an older generation on Facebook that you can engage with that aren't as much on Instagram, which it's just like literally a different market in that way. So I think it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Any other burning kind of tips that you wanted to make sure people heard before we sign off?
Just follow us both online, Cave Boy Music, and I'm at Reach Social CA. Cave Boy is having a bunch of dates. Like right now, you guys just played for Tash last night, right?
Yeah, we opened for Tash Sultana, and it was insane. Just crazy. But again, there's like making sure that, we knew that show was coming up. So we're trying to engage with Tash's fans and making sure that we're always tagging everybody involved in the show. And it's just every moment is like a tagging game when you're playing tag. Everything's an opportunity.
One shot, one opportunity, mom spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best way to end it, I think. Thank you. Bye.